What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, host of the Philly Talk podcast. We got a live stream today. You guys know me. Go ahead
What
and
is
introduce
going
yourself.
on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, host of the Philly Talk podcast.
I think you got it on replay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent of Rams Talk. Born and raised in LA, but now I live in Germany. And just want to, provide some information about and talk some smack about this week's matchup, about the Rams win coming up.
It's a
Glad
good
to
way.
be here. Thank you, Philly Mike, for having me.
Hey, no problem, no problem. Like I said, I started looking on YouTube, say, let's see if the Rams got any content creators out there we could talk about the game with, and you popped up, so it was good to have you on. Like I said, shout out to you from going from Los Angeles to Germany. That's a big change up. Like you said, it's probably closing on 9 o'clock over there. That's crazy, but yeah, we got this week 2 matchup. We got the 1-0 Los Angeles Rams taking on the 0-1 Philadelphia Eagles. And shout out to everybody in the chat. If you haven't watched my Eagles versus Ram preview, go ahead and check that out. I know I put it up right around the same time I put up my Devontae Freeman video, but go check that out. Some good information in there. And also check out his Rams and Eagles preview. He did a good job with breaking it down. But let me ask you this question. If you had 3 things you wanted to see the Rams do in this game to beat the Eagles, what would these 3 things be?
I mean, I think it'd be probably the same thing for the Eagles, and the other way would be for the Rams to really get the Rams running game going, because the Eagles are great against the defense, and the Rams really need to get their running game on track compared to last season. So it would be get the run going. And then on the flip side, it would be obviously what the Redskins did, apply pressure on Wentz, get through the line, and stop Miles Sanders. Because I really like the Rams secondary. And so even though it's like the Goddard and Ertz show and the vertical guys, but I think it's really applying pressure outside of Aaron Donald. That's always kind of been the Rams' problem. So if they can get guys other than Aaron Donald in and applying pressure on Wentz, and I'd say it's running the ball, stopping the run, applying pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you?
Yeah, just to talk about some of the points you said, I think the Eagles are going to come out and make it a point to run the ball after having a real letdown by not running the ball and trying to keep that win. We were keep the points, the 17-point lead we had against the Washington football team. Running the ball 16 times will not cut it when you're losing, when you're winning, and especially when you're winning. So I think we come out and try to establish a run. And I agree. The Rams want to run the ball. They ran 40 times against the Dallas Cowboys for like a combined 153. You got a nice little dual backfield and Cam Akers, Malcolm Brown, Henderson got a couple carries, but it's mainly Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown. And that's the biggest thing I want to see, because the Eagles have been one of the best run defense in the league for like the last 3 to 4 years. I mean, we're always in the top 3, top 5 at the most. And that's predicated on our D tackles and defensive line. I mean, if you look at the Eagles, we always have different linebackers in. You know, we have just plug and play linebackers, nothing too special, but the D line is able to control that run defense. And that's what I think you guys want to do. You want to play action and set up the run, which you were able to do against Dallas. We talked about this a little bit before we went live. You didn't take many shots. You let the offense come to you against the Cowboys. You know, quick time and passes, except for when you went play action. They were the more longer developing plays. And if there's 3 things that we got to do to beat you, it's 1, establish the run. That's going to slow down guys like Aaron Donald. They're not going to be able to pin their ears back and come at Carson. We have a banged up offensive line, even though we get Lane Johnson back. So run the ball. And we definitely got to roll Carson out the pocket, especially if the interior pressures too much. I do like how your new defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, uses Aaron Donald. He don't just let him line up in the A gap or B gap against the guards. He puts them inside, outside, the left, and the right. So we're going to have to pay attention to where Aaron Donald is. So it's pretty much simple. Run the ball, protect Wentz, and limit the turnovers, because the offense looked good. The defense looked good to open up against Washington. It was the turnovers and the lack of protection and not being able to play situational football, because you're up 17, run the ball. In that situation, you run the ball. So that's what I believe. But how do you feel about Robert Woods' new contract? I wanted to ask you that as well.
Hey, man, I think it's all a mystery right now because, the Rams have just been shelling out money to everyone. But I love it because I think, and I was talking to someone or commenting on a comment on your Rams-Eagles preview game, and they were saying that the Rams receivers were not spectacular. They're solid but not spectacular. And, I mean, I can understand that because I think Robert Woods is, to be honest, and I'm a Rams fan, so it might be a homer on this, but I really feel he's probably the most underrated receiver in all of football because if you watch this guy – like I have every game. I mean, he's durable. He plays all the time. He goes over the middle. He catches everything. He does the jet sweeps. He is a phenomenal blocker. He was a second round pick out of USC. So he has like that pedigree, but he just didn't have the flashy, maybe he's not a 4.2 Jalen Reagor guy or Deshaun Jackson speedster, but he's an excellent route runner. So Jerry Rice wasn't the fastest guy. But he just was an awesome receiver. And I think Robert Woods is as complete of a receiver you can get. Like I said, he went to USC. He's from LA. So it's kind of like that's his home. He wants to be here. And he is one of the leaders of the team. So when you're watching this game, just if you get a chance to see because of the camera angles, just watch Robert Woods, what he's doing. Because he's like Hines Ward was with blocking. So he just he excels in these things. So he's just so well-rounded, great clubhouse guy. He earned that money. He didn't score a lot of touchdowns last year, but he went over 1,000 yards 2 years in a row. Ever since he came to the Rams, he's been lights out. He started in Buffalo, and you had Tyrod Taylor there as a quarterback, and he was injured a little bit. Robert Woods was, but when he came to the Rams and the McVay offense, he was a top receiver, like a second-round receiver should be. So I'm really happy they got the young core with him, with Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Jared Goff, Jalen Ramsey. They have those 5 guys locked in. And I mean, being a Rams fan and going through so many years of crap, in St. Louis, they never had the best player. They never paid their guys. Like Sam Bradford was the only guy that they paid a lot of money to, but they had to because he was the first pick back when the first, those guys got all the rookies got the huge money, but they never had anyone to spend money on because they just had crappy roster. So now you have all these awesome players. And, I think they're giving a lot of front end money and cash bonus and deferring a lot. So, when you have an owner, Stan Kroenke, who is worth billions in his own right because of real estate, and then he married the Wall Street heiress or the Walmart heiress. So he's just billions upon billions upon billions. It doesn't matter. It's just spend the money. Who cares? So at this point, being a Rams fan, going through everything, and now they're rewarding their guys that are good guys. I'm all for it. I love it. And not going to be flashy, but against Dallas, who has Amari Cooper, flashy name, Michael Gallup, up and comer, CeeDee Lamb, flashy rookie. It was Robert Woods who was the number 1 receiver in that game. So that tells you something.
I agree. He's a guy who's, like you said, not going to be flashy, but he's going to get the job done. I think he had 6 catches for 108 yards week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. And that is now one of the questions I had in my preview. And I still don't know what the Eagles are going to do. We went ahead and acquired Darius Slay, and we put him on the number 1 receiver against Washington. He came up, played big against Terry McLaurin. I think it was 5 catches for 61 yards after Terry McLaurin pretty much beat us in both games last year for 120 plus and a touchdown in both games. So he came up big. But what do? Do you put Darius Slay on Robert Woods, or do you put him on Cooper Kupp? Because I did a little digging last year, digging for my preview against the Rams. And last year, Cooper Kupp was the number 1 receiver in the NFL on third down. Dude had 37 catches for 571 yards, 15.4 yards per catch, and 7 touchdowns on third down. So if I'm the Eagles, I got to know where Cooper Kupp is on third down. But like you said, your scheme is a little bit different. I like how Sean McVay adapted. He realized, you don't got Brandon Cooks. You can't be having these long developing plays. Plus, your offensive line is not as good as it was when you went to the Super Bowl. You had that guy who retired. What was his name? The guy who retired?
John Sullivan, and then Roger Saffold left.
Correct. So you got the guy who left and the guy who retired. It kind of hurt your offensive line because when I watched the All-22, I was surprised to see that you guys were in 12-man personnel a little bit more than you normally would be. You guys love to come out and play a lot of 11-man personnel because you had the receivers and Brendan Cooks, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp. Even Reynolds was good. I saw
Gurley.
Huh?
Yeah, and you had Gurley back then, so
exactly
you do that.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think Cooper Kupp will be in the slot more, so I think that's going to be Nickel Roby-Coleman going against Cooper Kupp, and I would expect Slay to be on Woods, which would maybe leave Josh Reynolds, Van Jefferson against Avonte Maddox, right? So I think that might be the real one to watch right there is what's happening on the third DB versus receiver set. And I'm also curious to know how does your defensive scheme, especially with the secondary, how do you guys, even with your safeties, how do you guys typically attack or play the opposing offenses?
So far this year we played a lot more man than we did last year. Well, you get a guy like Darius Slay, you want him to do what he does best and just play the guy. We will still do some zones. We like to stay in the big nickel, so we keep Roby-Coleman, Vontae Maddox, and Slay out there. We have a decent amount of safeties we like to throw out there, but 4-3 we don't get in too much base. Again, it's not really a running league, but if you guys try to come out and establish a run, I can see us going back to the 4-3 base and attacking you guys because, like I said, you had so much misdirection, pre-snap movement. You guys do that. Robert Woods is just running up and back and forth pre-snap. And you definitely, I noticed a couple times you had Jared Goff go right to the line and hike the ball. I mean, there was probably 20 seconds on the clock still, and he's already hiking the ball. So you're pretty much set with your offense. You're not going to change up at certain times, and you're going to catch the defense off guard, not letting us adjust. The linebackers for the Eagles play surprisingly well in the first game. Again, like you said, they're not household names. You got Nate Gary, TJ Edwards. They're young guys. Duke Riley, who was a special teamer on the Atlanta Falcons. So I think, again, the Rams coming into the season, my opinion on them was they're going to be, a team just barely fighting for the playoffs. But the way you played Dallas, I mean, you played pretty good. Jalen Ramsey got his contract, even though he did a little extra flopping. Hey, I'm all for it. If you could beat the Cowboys, I don't care how it gets done. So shout out to you for that. But how do you feel about your defense with your new D coordinator? Because it's definitely different from Wade Phillip.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been the wild card, really, because of with McVay in the offense, kind of maybe might have had an idea what they're doing because of the continuity, but with Brandon Staley. So Brandon Staley was the outside linebacker coach under Vic Fangio in Chicago. So he was working with Khalil Mack. And then when Vic Fangio came to the Broncos last year, he was the outside linebacker coach there with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. And so really going into this year, you had to study what the Vic Fangio defense was. And what they did a lot was zone and essentially having a lot of defensive personnel that were very versatile. So a lot of safety linebacker hybrid mix. And then they got Leonard Floyd from Chicago, an outside linebacker and Leonard Floyd, you look at him, he doesn't have the high sack totals, but he's great. He's one of those outside linebackers that's great against the run. Jadeveon Clowney is surprisingly kind of better at the run almost than he is as a pass rusher. So Leonard Floyd's like that, setting the edge and things like that. So there's a great play if anyone wants to watch it. I think the Rams posted it, and it's Andy Benoit of Monday Morning Quarterback, and he goes through the basically one of the defensive plays on how the players are very interchangeable in the defense, the linebackers, the outside linebackers, the inside linebackers, the safeties, and the secondary. I mean, Jalen Ramsey can play, can cover in the slot. Jalen Ramsey can cover tight ends. And they're just rotating guys. I think you're going to see a lot more Taylor Rapp in this game, their second round of her last year, because you have the two tight ends. So really what Brandon Staley does is he brings he confuses offenses by when Wentz is looking around and he thinks maybe it's man, and he hikes the ball and he looks at his first read and it's man, and he goes to his second read and then it's all of a sudden in zone. And so it's basically creating all this confusion and hiding your looks and really giving the offense something that they didn't expect, like kind of halfway through the play. So and it's also they're just kind of starting. So it is a new scheme for a lot of these players, but I feel like he's like kind of like a Sean McVay of defense. And, we have a lot of young, untested players, because when you let Corey Littleton go and you let a lot of these guys go on the defense, like Eric Weddle's gone, that's fine. No big deal. Clay Matthews, Dante Fowler, and all these guys, and you're like, oh my gosh, they lost so many guys. But so the Rams have a lot of like second and third round dudes who've been injured or just have been, stuck behind other players that are now starting to get their time to shine. So we'll see how they do. So that you're confident in Brandon Staley as a coach to put these guys in really good positions and kind of confuse the defense or confuse the offense, but we still have unproven guys doing this. So that's kind of the crux of it right there. And I'm just curious to see how Wentz will, like, the offense will kind of attack that. I'm really curious about how you guys balance in the passing game your tight ends and your deep threats.
Yeah, that's something that we're still working on, because as you've seen week 1, we went too deep ball heavy. We didn't mix in enough across the middle and stuff. We're always going to be able to get our tight ends eaten. I mean, when it comes to duos, we got the best in the game. Now we know Zach Ertz is up in the air with his contract, but he's still under contract for 2 years. I think he has to put that on the back burner. Let it, whatever happens, happens. I know it's, kind of hard to just have that mentality, but he has to do that for the rest of the season. We'll talk about it in the offseason, because I think that creeped into his head. He had a crucial drop on 4th and 3, and that's not Zach Ertz. If it hits these things, it's normally caught. Maybe not too much yak after, but he doesn't drop these balls, so that could be playing with his psyche. But yeah, we definitely got to involve the receivers in the middle of the field more than just put these guys on vertical routes. I think we need to get some quick timing passes and definitely just run the ball, which, again, as you ran on the Cowboys ran on you. I think Zeke had 136 yards against you guys. And now I'm not saying Miles Sanders is Ezekiel Elliott. However, the O-line being banged up, it's better against the run than it is the pass. So I think you're going to see a running game. I think you're going to see the Rams try to establish the run. The Eagles are going to establish the run, and it's whose run defense is going to prevail. But I wanted to ask you also about your defense. And I noticed this when I watched the All-22. You guys play so much zone in week 1. I think you had 2 snaps with man coverage. I think it was only 2 snaps of man coverage. Who else is proven in your secondary other than Jalen Ramsey?
Okay, so in terms of cornerbacks, we don't have anyone that's like proven. So last year we had really 2 guys step up. So after Talib, also last year we had a completely different secondary. So we had Talib and Peters, and then like halfway through the year, so Talib goes down, and a guy named Troy Hill, who was always kind of like our third outside DB, he came in, and he was, according to Pro Football Focus, one of the top 25 cornerbacks last year, because I think he was like the only one of 3 to allow like a completion percentage under 50. And then he led all cornerbacks in with over 300 coverage snaps in passes caught by the receiver he was guarding. So he was a guy who like really came on strong, but you can't, like, we would still need a full year to really believe it. He has to play, he has to be consistent and keep it up. So he's unproven, but he showed a good flash last year. And they played him in the slot pretty much exclusively all last game. And then the other guy, Darius Williams, which was like a UDFA a couple of years ago for Baltimore, and he played primarily outside. And he's one of those dudes who went to a small college, but he was Pro Football Focus, like all first-team college when he was there. And so he ended up on the Rams, and he balled out again last week. I want to say he was the highest-ranking cornerback last week on Pro Football Focus on the Rams, even ahead of Jalen Ramsey. So those are 2 guys I think that still have to prove it, but the Rams fans aren't like, nervous like, oh God, this guy sucks. You know what I mean? So, and then our safeties, we feel really good about our safeties because we have John Johnson, who pretty much missed all of last year with an injury, but he's been a stud for us. Usually he gets the assignment on the tight end. And then Taylor Rapp last year was one of the top defensive rookies in all of football. He was our second-round pick out of Washington, but he missed some training camp, so he didn't start the game last week. We had Jordan Fuller, a rookie from Ohio State, the guy who made that key fourth down stop on CeeDee Lamb when CeeDee Lamb came across the middle and Jordan Fuller stuffed him. And he kind of like he's one of those like secret camp risers that started. So to be honest with you, like if our secondary is who like best case scenario, it could be one of the top secondaries in the league because then you also have Jalen Ramsey. So we still need to be tested by the fast guys, and I think we're going to see more of our like safety linebacker hybrid players because of Goddard and Ertz. And a question I have for you is, I noticed that the last couple of years your offensive line has been like a top 3 offensive line in football because you've got Peters, you've got Kelsey, you got Lane Johnson, and then you had Brooks last year, and then your left guard, I can't remember what his name is, but you guys have had those guys. And so I was just curious, just because you were missing Lane Johnson and Brooks to start the game against Washington and you still allowed 8 sacks, was it just like, is Peters declining? Is Kelsey declining? Or was it just really like the right side was so bad even though you had Driscoll in there? Or was Wentz just holding on the ball way too long for even a really good offensive line? So like, really, how are you feeling about your offensive line, especially now that Lane Johnson is back?
It's a combination of both. The running backs did not block well when they were asked to block. The tight ends got beat a little bit. If you watch the All-22, guys like Jack Driscoll had a good game. I mean, when he was man-to-man against Chase Young, he put him in his place sometimes. We're talking about a 5th-round pick who wasn't supposed to play in 2020 against the number 2 overall pick, and he put him down a couple times. I will say this. One of the things that stood out to me in the All-22 was the sliding protection. Jason Kelsey, a veteran who still got gas left in the tank, was bad with his calls. The communication on the line was not good. And when you add in the running backs, guys like Boston Scott and Corey Clement not being able to pick up their assignments, and yes, out of the 8 sacks, I would say there's at least 2 or 3 that Carson Wentz held the ball way too long. One of them being the one that took us out of field goal range because Jake Elliott missed the field goal by a little bit. He took like a 10-yard sack. You can't do that. Now, for the Eagle fans that say Carson Wentz throw the ball away every single time, if it's 3rd and 5, there's no reason for him to throw the ball away. I mean, if it's 3rd and 5, we know Carson Wentz at times can break a tackle and then create a 30-yard play down the field. So if it's 1st down, you have to pay attention to where you are on the field, because there's going to be plays that he throws the ball away, which if he didn't do that, maybe he slips the tackle and makes a big play. But it's all about the clock ticking in his head and where we are on the field. You got to know when to live for the next play or go ahead and try to break it. But it was a combination, and I'm just happy to get Miles Sanders, who's a better blocker, Lane Johnson back, and now we get a week to really go over the tape because we had no preseason to adjust the slide and protection and stuff like that. So I think you're going to see a bounce back performance from our offensive line. I know in Eagle Nation, we're like, wow, the offensive line still pretty much sucks. But no, Lane Johnson, Miles Sanders, a week of tape, especially that tape. We had to learn a lot from that All-22, which I did myself, and I'm not a football player and a football coach. So I think we're definitely going to be able to have a much better performance, and we're going to need it because we saw you guys give up $136, so we're going to try to attack that. Miles Sanders is no slouch. But let me ask you this before we continue. We're at 24 minutes. Again, shout out to my guy Trent. He is at Rams Talk, so definitely go check him out on his page and sub him up. He did an Eagles and Rams preview as well. Also, if you haven't watched my Eagles and Rams preview, go check it out. We break down as much as possible. Smash that like button too. It really helps the stream go out there farther. It takes a quick second. It's free. Click the X button off the chat, smash the like button, and come in and holla at us. However, I want to ask you one quick question. I know I was going to say this for the end, but let me get your score prediction. What is your score prediction for this game?
Oh gosh, it changes all the time. The more I think about the game, well, obviously I'm going to go with the Rams to win, because it's a close game. It's a close match, right? So I'm going to go with the guys that I know and I love. And I was thinking around maybe like a 31-24 Rams win. Although because the Rams last week, even though they scored 20 points, they were only 2 for 5 in the red zone in terms of scoring. So, I feel like they kind of left some points on the board. I think they have some good momentum. One thing about going to Philly is the fans aren't there. So I think that plays a huge role, because I saw a couple stats. So the Rams, the Eagles in their last 18 games are 12-6 at home, but you don't have, you just can wake up in your bed and go to the stadium, but you don't have the fans there. So and Philly fans, no less. We've seen the Philly fans in LA, and it's like obnoxious as hell. So a stadium full is crazy. But the Rams since 2017 have the highest road winning percentage in the entire NFL at 72%, with the Saints right behind them and the Pats right behind them there. So the Rams are pretty good road warriors. We go to Seattle. I think we play well in Seattle every year. So we beat the Saints in the Superdome. So this is going to be tough, but I think the Rams pull this out. Even though I know right now the Eagles are kind of like a cornered animal, because they can't go down 0-2 to start the season, right? So and that loss, they get the reinforcements back. So it's tough, but I'm going with my Rams 31-24. What about you?
Shout out to my guy Eagles has landed, said 24-20 to the Eagles, but I'm close to that. I got the score being 27-20 Philadelphia. We edge you guys out. Like I said, like you said, the Eagles are a wounded animal, an animal trapped in the corner, however you want to talk about it, because there's a stat out there that teams that start 0-2 has a small chance to make the playoffs. However, the playoffs did get an extra body. So now instead of having 6 guys in your conference, it's 7. So that might open the door for the Rams, but no, I'm just kidding.
We beat the Cowboys for you, so that definitely helps.
Yeah, that definitely does help. That definitely does. But like I said, I really think with the guys coming back, the O-line is going to play a lot better. My expectation for you guys when the season start wasn't as high. I will admit that after seeing you guys play against the Cowboys, how you did it, I like how Sean McVay adjusted his scheme. The defense looked pretty good. My expectations for you guys went up, I would say. But I still think, again, it's a tough test. Like I said, there's no reason we should have lost to Washington. But as one of my guys, Gate City Sports Channel, said on the pregame show, if there's ever a time for Washington to beat the Eagles, because they lost a lot, they lost like 6 times consecutively. If there's any time to beat the Eagles, it's now, when there was no preseason. We got a lot of moving parts, guys we got in free agency, guys we got from the draft who are going to play a bigger role than other rookies would play, because other teams are more set with their thing. They can have their rookies sit. We needed some of our guys right away. So this was the time for them to beat us, and they beat us. Injuries played a part as well, but hey, shout out to the Washington football team for leading our division. You got the 1-0 Washington football team, the 0-1 Cowboys, 0-1 Eagles, and 0-1 Giants.
Yeah, we play. So after we play you, we go on the road and play Buffalo, and then we come back home and play the Giants, and then we go on the road and play Washington. So we're actually getting all of our NFC West out like in the next 4 games. So, even though you're cheering against us tomorrow, I think you're going to be backing us up 2 and 3 weeks from now when we play. It's the Giants, right? So it's not like the Giants and Washington, not a huge deal. I have a quick question, and I know this guy isn't going to really play a factor in this game, but what's the deal with Jalen Hurts? I'm very curious. I know you guys drafted him in the 2nd round. He was inactive last week. So what is just like Eagles Nation thought on like where he fits in and what's the plan for him?
I think Eagle Nation is split half and half. I was a guy who said there was no way you draft him in the second round. If you want a capable backup, go sign a veteran guy. I mean, really, he's not going to play unless Carson Wentz gets injured. Like, let's be real.
50-50.
Yeah. He's definitely got talent. He needs to work on some things with his mechanics and going through his progression and stuff like that. The rumor was that we were going to use him as Taysom Hill, but again, week 1, he's inactive. So that rumor looked like it just flew out the window because to be a gadget guy, you don't really need. If you're a gadget guy, one, they're going to get you involved early. You would have been active. So I think it's just a backup plan in case Carson Wentz goes down. I don't see him being our backup quarterback at this moment. We're talking about week 8, week 9, week 10, after he's been in the system a little bit. I think he passes Nate Sudfeld on a depth chart. But yeah, so where other teams have their second round pick contributing, we got our guy holding the clipboard and not even dressing. So to me, that was a mistake. Now, if he comes in and saves the day at the end of the year, then I will say I was wrong. But
yeah. Did you think that's also so? Do you think it's more Wentz insurance versus like 2 years from now or whenever? Like, yeah, because Wentz is locked up for a while, so it doesn't. That's just more of like you just drafted a backup.
That's it. Yeah, it's pretty much all insurance. But shout out to the Philly Insider Podcast. He said, question, how do you guys feel about Avonte Maddox versus Van Jefferson / Josh Reynolds? I believe they split snaps 50%, 50-50. Go ahead, I'll let you take that one first. How do you feel about that matchup, Van Jefferson and or Reynolds versus Avonte Maddox?
Well, I think you should go first because I'm not well versed on Avonte Maddox. I can speak to Van Jefferson, Josh Reynolds, but I don't know much about Avonte or how you guys perceive Avonte.
I think Avonte Maddox is a very athletic corner. I mean, the Eagles drafted him to play the slot. Let's be honest. The Eagles got Darius Slay, who's a guy who can play the outside, but we have slot corners all around. I mean, Avonte Maddox should be a slot corner. Nickel Roby-Coleman is a slot corner, a.k.a. the slot god for a reason. Yeah. I mean, Crevion LeBlanc is another slot corner. These guys are slot corners. We have Avonte Maddox is the second best corner on the team, so he just got pushed out. He's very athletic. He has a pretty good vertical jump, but he's short. I mean, he's 5'9-ish, 5'10-ish. So Van Jefferson is tall. I think he's 6 something, right?
Yeah, he's tall. He's 6 something. So is Josh Reynolds. They're both tall, lanky guys. And I think in terms of those two, so Josh Reynolds is the incumbent. This is probably his last year on the Rams. So that's why Van Jefferson was drafted to kind of be the Josh Reynolds replacement. But Josh Reynolds was a 4th-round pick out of Texas A&M or Tech, one of those. But he always filled in and did really well. And you saw he had that really good catch against Dallas where Trayvon Diggs almost got it. And then on the sideline, and then Reynolds spun around and almost scored. So Josh Reynolds is like a guy who I think will always kind of be 50-50 with Van Jefferson this year. But Van Jefferson is like the truth, real deal rookie. You saw that beautiful over-the-shoulder catch he had, that dime that was put in there. So Van Jefferson's dad played in the NFL. He's currently the Jets wide receivers coach. So he's like one of those guys that just grew up with NFL. He knows it. So when he steps in, kind of like Cooper Kupp, when they stepped in to the Rams as rookies, they were like second-year players already because they just like carried themselves the right way. They knew how to play, and they were excellent route runners. And when Van Jefferson was at the Senior Bowl, he had the highest clocked game speed out of everyone there, which included Denzel Mims. And then also when his college teammate of Florida, C.J. Henderson, the cornerback, when he was asked who is the best receiver in this draft, he said Van Jefferson. So, I mean, I'm sure they were just like homies because, they both went to Florida. But Van Jefferson is just one of those like sneaky second round guys that, wasn't the first one. But I guarantee you he will end up in a couple of years being probably a top 4 receiver in this draft. So in terms of going against Avonte Maddox, I mean, we still have yet to see, right, like what he's going to do in an NFL game. But, we saw him have that great catch against Trayvon Diggs. That was the over-the-shoulder one. So I think his route running and his separation, if I'm the Rams, I would, like, out of all of those DBs, I would probably attack Avonte Maddox just because he's not Darius Slay and he's not Nickel Roby-Coleman, who Rams fans love Nickel Roby-Coleman. The only reason the Rams let him go is I think that he wasn't even making a lot of money. So I think they just had a lot of depth at that position, and they just wanted to use their limited dollars elsewhere. So, but I mean, it was a shock to the Rams fans.
On Robert Woods,
yeah, on Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and Jalen Ramsey, and I mean, it's just crazy. So I think it was a shock to Rams fans that Nickel Roby-Coleman was cut like that. No one saw that coming because it wasn't like a guy that's like, oh, get this guy out of here. So. A lot of love for Nickel Roby-Coleman. And I'll tell you what, it's just, I find it, Nickel Roby-Coleman, his name is Nickel, and he plays the nickel, pretty much. It's like, how odd is that? So, but yeah, so I think that's an area to attack, and I like Van a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like I said, Avonte Maddox might get attacked a lot throughout the year because of him being smaller and Darius Slay on the opposing side. I mean, but if I'm the Eagles, we like to play a lot of single high safety. I'm playing the safety more on Avonte Maddox's side, trusting Darius Slay to cover his guy. Now, if he gets beat, he gets beat. The way this NFL is set up and the spread offenses that we see in 2020, I mean, everything favors the wide receiver. I mean, you can barely breathe on the defensive back. That's why I was surprised when Michael Gallup and Jalen Ramsey were hand checking both of them. I mean, he did sell it a little bit with the flop, but hey, shout out to my guy Jalen Ramsey for getting that call because that was big in that game. And I loved it because the Cowboys fans were coming over to my channel just trying to roast us for getting beat by the Washington football team, which is deserving. But they come out on Sunday night in front of the whole world and lay an egg. Loved it because, again, you guys were in the red zone multiple times and weren't able to cash. The game was there for Dallas to take, and they couldn't do it. And shout out to my guy D-Money Savage. He said Jefferson and Reynolds are nice, but I like how Maddox plays on the ball. He's always fighting all the way through the play. Maddox had a great rookie year, but was bad last year. This is his year to get established. Shout out to D-Money Savage. Philly Insider Podcast said I was impressed in Jefferson's debut. Great 31-yard catch. Goff missed him a bit high on another throw. Yeah, look, I wanted to say this about Jefferson real quick. He was a great route runner coming out of college. I loved his route running, and I'm surprised you were able to get him where you guys got him, to be honest.
Yeah, same here. I think there were so many receivers in this draft.
Right.
So yeah, I think we're very stoked because Sean McVay, he just every coach wants a player that can just come in and like you plug and play, right? So how many receivers come in and like they need a year to figure it out. So Jalen Reagor was a guy actually I was really interested in because once they let Brandon Cooks, they traded Brandon Cooks. I felt like we needed that burner, like that Brandon Cooks kind of guy, and I thought Jalen Reagor was. And I watched his tape at TCU, and I really liked Jalen Reagor. So when you guys got him, I was like, like that's legit. That's probably your Deshaun Jackson, replacement there. And I'm curious to know who guards the opposing tight ends? Like who's on usually tight end duty? Is it a safety? Is it a linebacker? Who's got that duty?
We mix and match. We move Jalen Mills to safety now, so he takes that responsibility sometimes. Also, Ronnie McLeod comes into the box, and if a tight end runs out, he might man up on him. But we do use our linebacker, I would say, not with an S, linebacker. Nathan Gary, he's a great coverage linebacker. Last year, he got destroyed by Eagle fans for being one of the worst tacklers in the game. But coming from Nebraska, he was a safety, so he kind of lines up nice against the tight ends. I know your boy Higbee is trying to have a breakout season this year. He's definitely got the advantage if we put like a Nickel Roby-Coleman or on him because size difference. So I think we got to use a safety to watch Higbee. But real quick before you get your response, shout out to everybody in the chat. We got 100 people in here. Make sure you guys smash the like button. It's simple, it's quick, it's easy, and it's free. Hit the like button. It really helps the stream out. And we all know The guys in here, I'm entertaining the Rams fan at Rams Talk, but we know we're going to get this W. I just had to throw that in there. But go ahead and talk about your tight end.
I know. I'm just curious, who's covering Higbee? And Higbee really is out-snapping Gerald Everett, like 2-1. Even sometimes you'll see him in 12. But
Who do you like better?
Yeah. Oh, who do I like better?
Yeah.
Yeah, Higbee. Higbee's the more complete guy. Higbee has had outsnapped and pretty much outgained Gerald Everett every year, and he's healthy. He stays on the field. So we all saw what Higbee did in the last 4 games last year. He actually helped me win a fantasy league. So yeah, and that's the thing. Last year, everyone, a lot of these pundits who don't really follow anything, and they say, "Oh, the Rams lost Todd Gurley and they lost Brandon Cooks." Like Brandon Cooks didn't do much last year. He had like 500-600 yards. Gurley, had 800 yards or so. Like, they weren't very effective for the Rams. And Cooks had a couple concussions. So it wasn't like we lost much. And because of that, we started putting Higbee in, and he started taking a lot more targets away from Cooks and even Kupp a little bit. So, and I even see this one comment you have here, having a hard time stopping Aaron Donald. Oh, boy, you're right, guard. Like, just fake an injury right now, because Nate Herbig or whatever, that's tough.
Yeah, I wanted to say this real quick. Shout out to my guy Cool Eagle for the $4.99 super chat. He said, "Fly Eagles fly from Louisiana, my boy. Keep grinding for that nation." You already know, my guy. Appreciate you for stopping by and the super chat. Like I said, go check the guy. Go check Trent out. His channel is Rams Talk. He does a great job breaking down the Eagles and Rams preview. And if you haven't watched my preview, go ahead and check that out as well. A lot of breakdowns in there. Like I said, Cooper Kupp is a problem on third down. But to get to that Aaron Donald point, so far against the Eagles, he has got a goose egg when it comes to sacks. I think we played now. This will be the 3rd time or 4th time we're playing with Aaron Donald in the league on your team, right? Or
yeah. So they haven't. Aaron Donald, I think, has had a sack against the Eagles. Yeah,
he has or he hasn't.
No, he has not against the Eagles.
I saw that. So we see him knocking the Dallas Cowboys offensive line down like bowling balls. However, our offensive line is more beat up than it was every other time we played the Rams, but we were able to stop Aaron Donald. Now, again, they use him differently, though. He used to just be a D tackle. Now they move him all over. Shout out to Brandon Staley for doing that. But yeah, I can't wait to see how this matchup turns out, to be honest. But listen, I've got to run downstairs and grab my charger for my laptop. I'm going to let you go ahead and look at the chat and take some questions real quick while I run downstairs, all right?
Oh, wow. Rams takeover. Let's see here. So I think, Aaron Donald hasn't had a sack against the Eagles yet in his career, but I feel like you watch that Dallas game, he's a man on a mission. There was a play where he was manhandling Zach Martin, who is one of the better guards in the league. And he was basically the Zach Martin in the center. He just knocked them both over and then went in over and nailed Dak. So, I mean, that's like Aaron Donald's going to cause some problems. And the Rams typically win in games that Aaron Donald has a sack. So if he gets a sack in the first quarter, then it really kind of like doesn't bode well for the opponent. So that's definitely something to watch in this game. I also, this is, as a Rams fan, this is a payback game. So essentially, the last time the Rams beat the Eagles was 2004. Does everyone know what movie won the Oscar in 2004? It was The Lord of the Rings, right? How old was everyone here in 2004, right? So that was like Mark Bolger, Steven Jackson, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, like the good old days, kind of just a little bit after we beat you guys in the NFC West Championship game. Sorry, I just had to say that. But we've lost 6 times in a row to you guys. So to me, this is just straight payback. This is all payback.
All payback. Hey, like you said, you had to score 31-24. I got to score 27-24. I think it's going to be a good game. Like I said, I think both teams are going to try to establish the run. One team, being the Eagles, will establish it. The other team will have to defer because that run defense is too stout. But like you said, Aaron Donald, if he gets going early, that's a problem. When I saw the stat that Aaron Donald never had a sack against the Eagles, I was like, wow. I mean, I know our offensive line has been one of the best in the league in the last couple of years. However, Aaron Donald's one of the best in the league. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, the way you guys use him this year so far against the Dallas Cowboys, moving him around could really pay out for him throughout the season, because he's definitely a guy you got a game plan against. But let me ask you this question. Jared Goff. Let's talk some Jared Goff and Carson Wentz for a second. We, back in the draft in 2016, 17 draft, Carson Wentz went number 2. Jared Goff went number 1. What's your take on that? As a Rams fan, when the draft was coming up, did you want Jared Goff or did you want Carson Wentz? Like because you guys got the first pick.
Yeah.
We heard the reports that you were leaning toward Goff, but where were you at in that whole thing?
Yeah, I was probably more Goff, only because Goff went to Cal, and being in LA at the time, my whole life, like you just watched Pac-12, so you were familiar with all those teams and all those players. So I'd already seen a lot of Goff, and Wentz was like a guy you just kind of hear about, but maybe you don't really see so much, like Josh Allen a little bit, and so. So, I mean, I was happy with that. But at the same time, I think with Wentz and with Goff, both of them, I had questions. Like it wasn't like this is Andrew Luck coming out, or even Kyler Murray to an extent. These are guys that are questionable. So it wasn't like one was a home run. They both had their question marks. And since then, I mean, I'm happy with it because, basically the world loves to just dump on Jared Goff. Like, Carson Wentz has been the golden boy of the two. And I know that, he gets a little bit of dings and this and that because Philly fans are Philly fans about it. But Goff just gets totally crapped on. And, I'll say this, like Goff took a team to a Super Bowl, right? I mean, it was a talented roster, but he took a team to a Super Bowl. That year, he was a top 8 quarterback in football. And one thing about Goff, he had a lot to learn in the NFL, a lot to learn, because he only played. I think he only was doing shotgun in college, right? So he had to take snaps under center. But he has what probably I'd say top 5 arm talent in football. Like I think his ball play, like his just pure placement and touch on a ball is top 5. It's everything else. Yeah. I mean, I really think that, because you look at that pass that he had against to Van Jefferson, he drops that in there. There's a game in 2018 where he just he had, I think, the most, the perfect passer rating. It was against the Vikings. I think he threw 4 touchdowns. There's a play where he rolls out to his right and throws on the run to Cooper Kupp in the back of the end zone, 30 yards, back of the end zone corner. And it's one of the most beautiful balls on the run with a defender right there. And he threw a bomb to Cooks and over the shoulder to Robert Woods. I mean, he can really place the ball. He can really be accurate, but he needs everything to be right. The minute you get up in his face, the minute you start doing pressure, he's not Wentz is that guy who can scramble around. He can make plays happen. And that's the difference between the two. I think if they're just sitting there standing in a pocket and throwing, Goff is the better quarterback. But the second you combine that with things breaking down, and that's where Wentz can also make plays happen where Goff really can't. And that's a huge deal, because last year Goff just did not look good because pressure was on him all the time and he just couldn't deal with it. So that's why you saw the game plan last week for him getting the ball out quick. So anyways, a long ramble. I'm happy that we have Goff. I feel good about, like, I feel confident, like the Rams can win any game with Goff. I feel like they have a chance. Whereas before, you go to like quarterbacks before Jared Goff for the Rams, and I never felt confident with any quarterback dating back to probably like Mark Bulger and Kurt Warner. So I'll tell you, like, we got our guy.
Gotcha.
He's not Patrick Mahomes, but, or Lamar Jackson, but he's a solid QB. So yeah, and I'm sure you feel pretty happy about Wentz because Nick Foles took you to a Super Bowl.
I'm gonna answer that in a second. But shout out to my guy Chaos the Filthy with the $5 super chat. He said, "I just finished high school back in 2003. Long time ago, bro. Long time ago." Hold up, real quick. Shout out to Oscar for the 99-cent super chat. Appreciate you. My guy didn't say nothing because at the end of the day, we don't gotta say nothing. We know what we're going to do on Sunday at 1:00. But I will answer this. I'm happy we got Carson Wentz. Like I said, I'll give you the fact that Goff maybe can be the better pocket quarterback. But in the NFL, the way it's going, I mean, the pass rushers we have in this league are just out of the world. So if you can't play with pressure, that's a bad sign because nowadays you're not going to, in today's game, you're not going to be able to sit back there, drink a cup of coffee and deliver the ball. And as you said, the Rams line was a great offensive line leading up to the Super Bowl. But after your guy retired and after you let your guy go, that's why you see Sean McVay, who's a great coach, a great coach when it comes to scheming it. He's a great offensive mind. He has some stuff he has to get together. I don't know. Again, that Super Bowl was kind of lackluster performance. I mean, only getting 3 points. Bill Belichick was in his bag in that game. However, Jared Goff, when pressured, like you said, he doesn't make the best decisions. And that's why you guys went to some 12-man personnel, getting the ball out faster, because it's duly noted that your offensive line took a hit with the guys leaving and retiring. But shout out to Philly girl real quick, because she said 131 people watching. Hit that like button. Shout out to Philly girl, another Eagles content creator. Go check her out. She does great work. But yeah, I mean, it's free, it's simple, it's quick. Hit the like button. It really helps us out. And go check out Trent at Rams Talk, especially if you want to flood his comment section saying "Fly Eagles Fly" on his Eagles and Rams preview. But to your point, to your point about Foles and Carson, we watched Nick Foles come in at the end of the season and have a real lackluster game against the Oakland Raiders. That's when they were still the Oakland Raiders. And he played a game that we just got away against Atlanta. He was not good in Atlanta. We ran the ball and we played defense. So he came off the Oakland Raiders, ugly performance, throwing some picks. He wasn't good against Atlanta. And then he had 2 magical games in Minnesota and against Minnesota and in Minnesota in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. However, if we don't get home field advantage and a first round bye on the play of Carson Wentz, we probably don't do that run. So Carson Wentz was very important to the success we had that season and in the Super Bowl, because first round bye was key and home field advantage was key to getting that W. So here's my take on Carson Wentz. When healthy, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. We just got to keep him healthy. And this season is a big season for not only Carson, but for Doug Peterson. They got to prove that, Doug Peterson got to prove that it wasn't just Frank Wright. He's the new head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. And our offense hasn't looked the same since 2017. Let's be honest. And Carson got to just prove that he can win a playoff game. He stayed healthy for 16 games last year and then gets knocked out a couple plays into the game. And if he got hurt, like if he tore a ligament or broke a bone or something like that, I would be more worried. But it was a concussion. It was a cheap shot. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But he has to be healthy this year. And it starts with staying healthy and getting a W against the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. This is going to be a great duel. This is going to be a great quarterback duel. I mean, 1 versus 2, and this is actually kind of cool because you look at like Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, they were 1 and 2 and both are on different teams now. So you don't really get this 1 versus 2 that often anymore. like no RG3 and no Andrew Luck. So this is it. This is going to be great. Now, how do Philly fans feel about Peterson in generally? I mean, I have to think you guys really like him. You know, he won a Super Bowl for you, and he's really just a little half and half.
Again, he won the Super Bowl for us. He was the first quarterback to really like implement, like go for it on fourth down a lot. Like, I mean, everybody did it, but he really had that mindset to like, we're going to do it. I mean, the Philly call in the Super Bowl where you could get points against a team like Bill Belichick, you normally take the points. He had the guts to call the Philly special with Nick Foles. And it was a beautiful moment. I mean, we never won a Super Bowl. He won us a Super Bowl, so we're always going to cherish that. However, since that Super Bowl, he's been a little bit lackluster in play calling. Now, I gave him the benefit of the doubt last year because of injuries. I also gave him the benefit of the doubt because Mike Groh was horrible at OC. But now, instead of going out and get a veteran OC, we bring in Marty Mornaway and Rich Scanganello to be like assistants, and Doug is the straight OC. So he has to put a better game plan. He had a great game plan in the first half. And again, he stayed on the gas pedal, which I'm all for, but in the wrong scenario, he has to leave to Andy Reid not wanting to run the ball because Andy Reid learned some new tricks. Week 1 against the Texans, they ran the ball more than they passed. So he's from the Andy Reid tree. We knew that Andy Reid liked to pass. Doug Peterson got to run the ball. But I think it's 50-50. You know, Eagle fans are quick to turn on anybody. So it ain't all lovely over there. But let me address this guy. He said, playoffs, Eagles? What are you guys smoking? Wentz is horrible since 3 years. First of all, the sentence really wasn't put together one. Right. 2, let's say this. How can you say playoffs with a question mark when, let's just go back. 17, Super Bowl. 18, playoffs. 19 playoffs. So we haven't really had a deep run in the playoffs, but for the last 3 years, we made the playoffs every single year. So playoffs is not like a question mark. It's like, well, we're going to get there. Let's see what we do when we get there. So I just had to come out of, Cowboy fans always going to let, come in here and love the troll. So it is what it is. We got them in November. Right now, we talking about the Rams. But shout out to my guy, Be More Philly, for the $4.99 super chat. The Eagles did not run Philly in the Super Bowl. So Foles did not suggest the right play. They ran Philly special. Yeah, that's what it's called, Philly special. We talk about it as yeah. It's really the Philly special, but it is what it is. Either way,
that sounds like a cheesesteak.
Hey,
the Philly special or the Philly.
Yeah, they definitely should have one of them. But yeah, so like you said, so you do you think here's a question: over under 95 yards rushing for the Rams?
Whew. That's tough. I mean, obviously, I want to say over. But like, if you just go to the data, like if you just, you know what, I will say over because I think if you add like jet sweeps to it, I think the Rams could put in a couple wrinkles. I think they're gonna try a lot. I don't know if their yard per carry is going to be high, but if they just get 2 jet sweeps in there for seven yards a pop, then they can hit that. But I'm not. I'm really kind of pushing on that, to be honest, because I know Philly's defense holds to 92, a little over 92 yards under Jim Schwartz. The Rams offensive line still don't have the track record from last year, and even this year is still young. You can't really trust anything from the first game, so I don't want to be cocky and say they're going to get 95. So I would probably say they don't, but maybe with a few jet sweeps, they could break 100 because they're definitely going to try. They're definitely going to go for it. Last year last year was Jared Goff gunslinger. Last year, the Rams rushed for 700 fewer yards than they did the previous year. So I think they just learned like, hey, no, we got to go back and we got to pound the rock and we got to have at least 30 carries a game. So I would hope that if they have 30 carries a game, they're at least carrying it for like 3.5 yards per carry, which would make it over 95 yards. So, and 3.5 yards per carry is not even great. So Actually, I change it. Yes, they're going over. I got to put myself through it.
I'm gonna smash the under on that. Now the Eagles, they do allow certain big runs. We are really good against the run. You watch the Eagles game, you're gonna see 2-yard carry, -1 yard carry, 3-yard carry, 2-yard carry, and then they might hit a big one for like 20-25. We do allow the big ones, and that's pretty much the linebackers. We're able to hide some of their deficiencies because our D-line is so good, but the linebackers miss an assignment, miss a gap, and we're going to let Malcolm Brown probably scamper for a 25 piece. However, that's pretty much it. I'll definitely smash the under on that just because of the consistency of the Eagles. And if Sean McVay is who we think he is, well, you got a game plan. Like, look, the Eagles are going to want to stop the run. They're going to have a heavy box, especially watching us run the ball 40 times against the Cowboys. So, your game plan. If a team is bad against the run, you run against them. If they're bad against the pass, you pass against them. I don't pass against them. I don't like when teams just say, we're going to come in and do what we do best. No, game plan, adjust. That's why you practice all week for that opponent. You got to be better in that. And that's what I want to see. This is a big year for both Doug and Carson. And I need to see Doug adjust, run the ball. Run the ball. That's it.
Yeah, second half of last game against Washington, even though you got Boston Scott and Clement, you guys should have ran like 10 more times or, at least had the short passes. And that's the thing that you saw in this Dallas game that McVay finally did after the Super Bowl, or like he should have done. We were talking about this before. Second half of the Super Bowl, the Rams should have rolled out against Belichick and the Patriots like they did against the Cowboys last week. But no, and then it went into last year too. They kept the play action, the long developing plays, chunk yardage down the field. That's why Goff had a lot of interceptions because they didn't have a running game and he was just throwing all the time deep passes and they didn't have the offensive line to support him. So I think if you're the Eagles also, I think you got to attack our left guard. He's better in pass pro than he is in running. So I think if you want to clog the lane or get in, penetrate, it's our left guard, Joe Noteboom. So that's the one guy who had a low PFF score across our entire offensive line. But also last year, like we had basically our two starters went down the whole year. The two replacements we had, they went down like 4 games into the season for the whole year. So we had to bring a guard in to play center. And now that he's playing center to start the season. So we got all of his reps in like going into this year. So we kind of have a lot more. We made a midseason trade and brought a guy in because our offensive line was injured and our right tackle had missed like half the year. So basically all these guys are healthy. So I know last year was a tough one. And you look at the Rams offensive line from last year as like, they were so crappy and bad, but like everyone's back now and they have like a full training camp, playing together, communicating and being on the same page. So I think they will, the Rams running attack will be better this year than it was last year based on we have running backs that have all their knee cartilage and we have our offensive line is flown. But there's one guy who's kind of a crazy wild card to all this, and it's our kicker, Samuel Sloman, who was a 7th-round pick, who missed like a 29-yarder, that donk off the field, off the crossbar. So that's one guy, when he comes out, like as Rams fans, we're just kind of like, I don't know, because we don't know about this guy, right? So it's not Greg the Leg, who we always felt pretty good about in pass. So that's another thing you need to think about with our kicking game when we roll a guy out for 3 points.
Yeah, definitely. But real quick, shout out to my guy Jeremy Bishop for the $1.99 super chat. He just put a super sticker out. I don't really see it, but it probably says Eagles win against the Rams. I'm just kidding. But yeah, shout out to you for coming on here. We're going to be on here for a little bit longer. Again, 138 people in the chat. Shout out to you guys. We're talking Saturday, 4 o'clock-ish. 3 o'clock. You guys hanging out with us. And again, shout out to Trent at Rams Talk. He's in Germany, so it's closing in on 10 o'clock at his time. So,
but it's Saturday night. It's Saturday night, and I have kids, so I just basically sit around and watch TV anyway. So this is no problem. Yeah, and I actually have a non-Eagles question for you, and I'm just curious because I'm a diehard Lakers fan. and I can't help to see the 76ers thing back there if you want to just take a 76ers question, but if you had to pick one guy to keep, Simmons or Embiid, who is it?
Oh, gosh. I always get asked this question when I do Sixers live streams and stuff like that. I'm just going to say this real quick. I want to keep both of them with a new coach and see what happens, but if I had to get rid of one, I think Joel Embiid's the better player, but I don't think he stays in the league as long as Ben Simmons. So if I'm looking at longevity, I'm taking Ben Simmons. If I'm looking at win now, I'm taking Joel Embiid. So I'm always down for the win now type of approach, especially with all the contracts we got. So I'm taking Joel Embiid.
Yeah, actually, that's the wrong answer. The right answer is Markelle Fultz.
I knew you would say something like that.
But yeah.
So like I said, shout out to the chat for 134 people in here. Like I said, I went to YouTube. I said, let me find a Rams content creator so we can go at it for the week 2 matchup. And you were the only one that popped up. So stay true to your thing. Like I said, if you guys want to watch a preview from a Rams person, I think he was a little unbiased in there, a little biased, but not as biased as some fans could be. I try to keep my previews now as unbiased as I can, but I honestly think we're going to edge you guys out. Like I said, 0-2 is just an ugly start. There's no way we can do that. We're going to fight tooth and nail. And again, you guys played very good against Dallas. Shout out to you guys for beating our rival. But, coming in at 1-0, a little bit on your high horse. No fans is going to be a factor. But, hey, I never say it's a must win this early in the season. However, the way we got beat by the Washington football team was demoralizing. We have to bounce back, and you're just in our way. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about the Rams right now is, they're flying out to, now. So their whole philosophy is, fly out to Philly today, play early in the morning before their bodies, realize that they're, on the East Coast and can get jet lag. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see how that plays out, because originally before COVID, they were going to just do a twofer. They were going to go out to Philly and play Philly, and then probably go out early, acclimate, play Philly, and then stay on the East Coast and play Buffalo the following week. But now because they got to go and play Philly, come back home, turn around next week, go out and play Buffalo. So I think they're just doing basically a quick strike, getting in, getting out with a W. So, that's really it. And I'll tell you this to me, this game can go 50-50. And I felt that way against Dallas. The Eagles are a worthy opponent. So if the Rams lost, I wouldn't be surprised. It's not if the Rams would have lost to Washington, then I would have been totally what the heck just happened? And see Renee House. Bam. There you go. That's all you need to know.
All right. So definitely I want to get the chat involved before we get up out of here. Everybody in the chat, Rams fans, Eagle fans, I don't know why we got Cowboy fans in here, but Cowboy fans, let us know your score prediction. We got the game tomorrow. And shout out to all 28 people in here. Smash that like button. It's free. We got 128 people in here and 60 likes. Come on, bro. The content is free. All I ask is for you to smash that like button. It's simple. However, if you haven't watched my Eagles versus Rams preview, definitely check it out. I put it up yesterday, right at the same time as I put up my Devontae Freeman video. Good stuff in there. Also, go check at Rams Talk and watch his preview and leave a comment. Tell them that we're going to beat them. All that good stuff. But let the chat, y'all, it's y'all turn. What is the score predictions? I'm going to read some of these off. I'm not going to pull them up, though, because that's going to take a while. So let's start with Renee's house. He said 31-23. Zeke fan, of course, said 24-10 Rams. Joey Z, 27-20 Eagles. Philly Insider Podcast, Eagles 27, Rams 23. Emmanuel said,
Philly Insider Podcast, if you have any Rams questions, because I see you putting a lot in here, just comment on my video on my channel whenever you get a chance, and I'll reply to all of that stuff. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, definitely. Emmanuel said 24-20 Eagles. Fight on 9 just says Rams. Let's see. Witch King said Falcons 44, Cowboys 20. Hey, I'll take that. It's not an Eagles question, but I'll take that. Eagles fan here. Oh, Eagle fan here said Rams 42, Eagles 20. So living room is an Eagle fan saying we're getting blown out. Alcabir, the analyst said 23-16 Eagles, 13-10 from Philly girl. Nice low scoring game. Yo, the Eagles are going to kill the Rams. I'll take that. Eagles 30, Rams 24. Rams 30 versus Eagles 23. Rams haven't lost a 1 p.m. Eastern game yet. Hopefully McVay can keep it going. 21-28 Eagles. 27-14 from King Philly. 27-17 from Trezzy. Throwing Dot said 21-17. Philip 903 said 20. It just jumped on me. Where'd it go? 20-26 Eagles, 23-15 Eagles, 31-13 Eagles from Logan, and K Business is the one who said 23-15. These are coming in crazy. Brandon said 27-20. Ghost said 28-3 Eagles. Oh, I would love that. I would love that. 34-17 from Chaos the Filthy, a channel member. Shout out to all the channel members. Shout out to all the subscribers. Like I said, smash that like button. It's quick. Philly Insider Podcast said 55 to Cowboys 3. I would love that. I would love to see the humiliation of the Dallas Cowboys. It's always good. Bob Huller said 27-17, I think. Dang, this be jumping when I don't put them up on the screen. 24-20 Eagles from Show Enough. Vic 3 said Eagles 17, Rams 10. A lot of people got it close, though. Toxic said Eagles 27, Rams 14. Joey Z said, I'm scared of Donald. King Philly said 27-14. Julian said 34-16. Bobby Murphy said a bit of swing. 30-27. King Diego said our D line is dominant. I don't know if he's talking about hopefully he's talking about the Eagles because or maybe he's a Rams fan. I'm not sure. 40-18 from Joshua. He's an Eagle fan, and he's talking about the Eagles. He said 24-21 Eagles. So some good score predictions. If I didn't get to yours, guys, sorry about that. Hey, this is the Eagles channel. I wouldn't expect anything less for it to be flooded with Eagle W's. I would be quite disappointed if it wasn't. But, hey, honestly, think it's going to be a good game. I got 27-24. What was your score prediction again? Say it again.
55-10.
You changed it now.
No, it was 31-24.
Oh yeah, I just saw you put a comment of 55-10.
Hey. Yeah, just trolling both of us right there.
Hey, got to do what you got to do. But like I said, it was good talking with you. So just to close this out, give me your 3 things you want to see the Rams do in this game again to close it out.
Run the ball, stop the run, get to Wentz.
Short, sweet, simple. My 3 things is run the dang ball, protect Wentz, and get to Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like no matter who you're playing, if you do those 3 things, you're winning the game. So, and Malik Jackson, I was watching that game last week. Malik Jackson looked like a beast, him and Fletcher Cox. So that pressure up the middle, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, like I said, for those who didn't watch my Eagles versus Rams preview, I showed how Aaron Donald comes on stunts. I showed some passing plays, but one of the things that I caught my eye was Malik Jackson. I mean, he beat the left guard of the Washington football team's crazy. And like I said, if you watch the game closely, the Cowboys versus Rams, the Rams played a lot more 12 personnel than I thought. They were pulling their tight ends to help block the defensive end because their offensive line is not as strong as it used to be. So as much as Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers, Leonard Floyd want to attack our offensive line, we got to send the hounds. Derek Barnett should be back. I'm not sure if Brandon Graham's going to play, but Josh Sweat, Malik Jackson, Fletcher Cox, send these guys to Jared Goff because you heard right from the Rams fan. When Goff's in a clean pocket, he's good. And in my video, I said, when you don't put pressure on Goff, he's going to look good. You put pressure on him, he looks like Jeff Fisher Goff. Oh, let me bring that up as well. I wanted to say that as much as Goff took a big jump from year 1 to 2, I think that has a lot to do with Sean McVay. Jeff Fisher is the ultimate quarterback killer. So let's just say if you guys had Jeff Fisher, I would automatically be soaking this up as a W because Jeff Fisher was bad at the end.
Jeff Fisher was bad at the end, and I tell you, like, I think one thing that totally gets overlooked with the Rams, so like Jeff Fisher was out, McVay comes in, right? And you see this massive turnaround, which was amazing. And I mean, there was a guy who said if McVay is this offensive genius, why did he only put up 3 points in the Super Bowl? But like, you look at the Rams with Jeff Fisher when Goff was a rookie and played 8 games. You put Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, like anyone on that Rams team, and that Ram team still sucks, okay? Because Tavon Austin and Kenny Britt were your receivers, okay? But the most overlooked thing out of all of that was the left tackle. So they had Greg Robinson, who they picked in the same draft as Aaron Donald, number 2 overall pick. He was the worst left tackle, like in terms of guys, in terms of penalties and in terms of sacks allowed. He was terrible. Then they get rid of him. And that next year when McVay comes in, they get Andrew Whitworth from the Bengals, one of the better left tackles in the game. And so you make a change like that dramatic on the blind side, and it like sets everything up. And so our left tackle is solid. So whoever's going up against our left tackle, I feel very good about that matchup. So anyways, Jeff Fisher, just like, if you want to be 8-8,
Jeff Fisher.
That's
or
your guy.
Jason Garrett. Or Jason Garrett.
Or Jason Garrett.
Hey, and we might say Mike McCarthy because we don't know. They're already starting out 0-1, so we going to see.
I think the Cowboys will definitely be better as the season goes on, even though they lost Van Der Esch for a while and Jarwin. I think Jarwin's a massive loss for them. That helped us running the ball, not having Van Der Esch. But anyways, I think when you guys face Aldon Smith, that guy was a beast. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, we definitely got to move Wentz out the pocket. I see people in the chat saying that. And they did say that Brandon Graham is cleared to play. So Barnett, Graham, Sweat. Let's get it. And hey, hopefully I got a nice post game after the game talking about a W because, hey, it's going to be a good game. At the end of the day, I think that the Rams got talent. I think a lot of people were counting them out once they started losing some pieces and stuff like that. They didn't make the playoffs last year. I think that's why the NFL implemented that 7 team because McVay was crying that if we had 7 teams last year, he would have made the playoffs.
Well, also, if Greg Zuerlein makes a kick at the end of time running out against Seattle last year, the Rams are in and Seattle is out. So like the Rams were 1 kick away and they missed the playoffs. They're 9-7. They missed the playoffs. Could have been 10-6. And everyone writes them off. Like, oh, they lost it. And it's like they were a kick away from being 10-6 and making the playoffs. So, and they would have been in the playoffs had it been a 7th team last year. So, like they're still a good team. Still a good team. And what the crazy thing about Philly is to me is how many of you live in Los Angeles? Like
Los Angeles, all over the place.
Filled with Philly people, filled with people from Philly. So, like, I mean, people I would work with, Philly all the time, fly Eagles fly. Just like, when we traded Sam Bradford to you, I was like, I was making fun of Philly fans at the office. But, like, Philly fans are everywhere in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so, I wanted to say Philly fans travel. I mean, people comment on my videos talking about they're from Germany. They're from everywhere. Philly fans are all over the place, and I love it. I love it. But I will say this. When it comes to Sam Bradford trade, hey, it did pay off because we end up giving him to Minnesota for a 1st-round pick.
Oh. And we got a 2nd rounder and Nick Foles. No, because we got Nick Foles the first time, right? Oh, no. Who's the
Yeah, I think we traded Nick Foles to you for Sam Bradford.
And then Nick Foles was crap because
Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher. And then you get Nick Foles back, and then he's good again. So, wow, it's just the merry-go-round. But see, like then you draft your guy in Wentz, and you have your guy. So that's just what it's all about.
Definitely. But like I said, we've been on for an hour and 20 minutes. We still got 142 people watching in the middle of a Saturday. Sunday is going to be great. The Eagles must bounce back. And as a Rams fan, they're probably saying the Rams got to continue this hot start. It should be a good game. Duly noted, he has the score 31-24. I got the score 27-20. We're going to definitely see. Everybody in the chat, make sure you smash that like button. There's no reason we shouldn't be at 100 likes. We had 142 people, now 138 people in the chat. It's free. It's easy. Smash that like button. And Cowboys fans, if you want to, go ahead and hit the dislike button. I ain't mad at the game. I'm not mad at the game at all. But for the Philly fans in here, if you think we're going to win, smash that like button. That's just the way to show we're going to win.
Hey, and can I give a shout out to Renee House? So he's a Rams fan, comes on my channel, and he has a comment. He's like, hey, you should do, talking to me, hey, I should do a collaboration with you. And this is right after you reached out to me on Twitter. And I was like, hey, he left a link to your channel in my comments to my last video. So you can find him there. And he's like, hey, you should do a collab with Mike. And I was like, I think he just reached out to me. So yeah, we're doing that. And he's here, so he gets it. So
shout out to Renee House for, low key, feeling that this would be a good thing. And like I said, I typed in Rams, Los Angeles Rams. I'm scrolling down, they got the highlights. They got a bunch of stuff. I'm like, okay, ESPN, this, that, and the third. I'm like, dang, there's no Rams content creators out there. And so I found you.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the Rams didn't really take their social media, especially their like YouTube presence, seriously until like a year and a half, 2 years ago. They only had like 5,000, 6,000 subscribers. They weren't programming to the YouTube channel, and then like they went off on it. And now there's like tons of content, and it's all really good. But yeah, I guess it's mainly because the Rams have been the Rams, But it's really cool. I'm sure like when you're like growing up in Philly and you love your sports and you just want to always talk about sports, and you just connect. Having your channel is just the best way to connect to fans, so you can just talk about your team. And that's really what it is for me, because like when they were in St. Louis, I had no one to talk to. And now it's crazy. Now I'm like discovering this like massive 1,000-strong community of people who are all on the same page. So it's awesome. Doing this is really cool.
Definitely. Like I said, just through YouTube, I met a lot of cool people, a lot of diehard Eagle fans. And that's why I tell everybody to leave their thoughts in the comment section on my videos, because I'm a fan. And sometimes y'all comments are inspiring, because sometimes y'all say something that sticks with me, and or say something that I end up making a video on later, basically off what some of the comments are. And like I said, there's Eagle fans that give great insight to the team. So I love it. And you could be a fan of a team and have a different of opinion. Some people hate Carson. Some people love Carson. Some people are in the middle. But at the end of the day, Eagle fans have one common goal: win on Sunday. So sometimes we have different strategies of how to get there, but we all want to win. And like I said, I just looked. We got 99 likes. We need to tip it over. Somebody hit that like button. We got to tip it over. No way we should be at 99. That's just a teaser right there.
Oh, we got it. We're at 100. I see it.
There we go. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So, like I said, closing moments. Do you have any closing things you want to say before we get off?
No, I have to admit, like, Cowboy fans last week on my thread, really cool for the most part. Philly fans so far on my threads, really cool for the most part. So I'm just really stoked that like we can just all talk about this. And I really feel this is like a 50-50 game. But in that case, I'm going to take my team. So and I say you just roll up Lane Johnson's ankle. I mean, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Lane Johnson's a cool dude. So, I think this is going to be just a building block to the Rams Super Bowl win this year.
Yeah. And to go off that, like I said, there's no such thing as a must-win game week 2, but after the performance of Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, we have to see a bounce back. Now, if it's a hard-fought game and we lose at the end, I'm not as mad, but because we lost to the Washington football team and because we got tough guys on the schedule in the middle, we got the Steelers, the Ravens, the Saints, the Packers, the Seahawks. We can't allow ourselves to lose to the Washington football team. We can't do that when we got teams like the Ravens, the Steelers, the Packers.
Who you playing next week? Yeah, good one. Who are you playing next week after Rams?
Cincinnati. So.
Yeah, you win this game or you get through this game, you're an easy street. So,
but like I said, we have on the schedule, Seattle, tough, Ravens, tough, Saints, tough, Niners, tough, Packers, tough, and the Cowboys twice is not no walkover because we normally split them, and the Cowboys are great on paper, but paper don't win games as well, so we have to see how they come together.
Yeah, and we got Seahawks twice, Niners twice, Cardinals twice, Bills after you just had Cowboys. We have the Bucks, we have the Patriots, and then the rest of the AFC East and the rest of your division as well. So yeah, it's like the Jets really are the only team, and maybe the Giants. I feel good, and to be honest with you, Washington, because Dwayne Haskins, that was a fluke you guys lost. Because you go against Dwayne Haskins, and does he scare you?
No.
Does Dwayne Haskins scare you? No. Yeah. Carson Wentz can do something. So I'm Dak Prescott can do something. So, Daniel Jones can do something. Even.
Yeah, I have to agree. Shout out to Hassan Johnson. He said had to be the 100th person. Fly Eagles fly right there. That right there just elevated to a W. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah, you know what? No, thank God the Rams players don't have to hear that Fly Eagles Fly song, at the stadium. See, that's going to actually, there's a final thought. How much of a home field advantage will it be in Philly without the fans there? That's kind of a big deal. I'm so that, and going to Buffalo the week after, that's great for the Rams that they have They don't have to go against these rabid fan bases. So, yeah.
Yeah, I will say it's nothing like being in the link on third down. You got this crowd screaming on third down, a big sack, turnover, or forcing a punt. Like I said, the defense really goes off the energy of the crowd. We're going to miss that. But hey, it is what it is. Everybody gets it. Everybody got to go through this adversity, and I'm looking to see how the Eagles bounce back in this game. On that note, like I said, I go by Philly Mike, Philly Talk Podcast. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do live streams and regular videos throughout the week, at least 5 days a week. And go check out Trent at Rams Talk, especially if you're an Eagle fan, at least watch his preview. And if you haven't checked out my preview on the Eagles and Rams, I talked about a lot more stuff than I did on here. We talked about some matchups and stuff. I got all 22 breakdowns on the Rams offense, how they want to run, what they want to do. I'm going to be interested to see what Darius Slay does. Does he play Cooper Kupp? Does he play Robert Woods? But until next time, I'll definitely hit you up on Twitter. Win, lose, or draw. I'm going to give you the respect. And like I said, if we ever play again, we definitely do something again.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for finding me, for having me on. This is just great stuff. I learned a lot about the Eagles and what's going on with them this year. And really, really stoked to just talk some football. And yeah, I guess we'll be chatting. I'll still be awake after the game is over. So definitely not a problem there. So anyway.
So 1 o'clock would be what time for you?
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Yeah.
It's great. And even Pacific starting times, like the 4 p.m.s, it starts at 10 for me at night, and that's totally doable. So I live in Germany. I just took 2 weeks of vacation because I get 30 days vacation here. So I'm staying up late and watching football. So
Do you speak German?
ein bisschen, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. I speak a little bit.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know what you just said.
I just said I speak a little.
Well, to close this out, let me hear you say the Eagles win in Germany. In German.
There's no the German translation doesn't exist.
Oh.
Yeah, but they have it for the Rams win.
I'm done with that. All right. Like I said, shout out to everybody who came. 114 people still in here while we just bull crapping. I was waiting for this guy to come in because I've seen him already. And Ruiz, LA Rams, we got too much weapons. We're not the no names. Hey, I know he's been a guy who's been in the live chat on previous Just Eagle videos. So I was wondering when he was going to stop by when I showed that I got a Rams guy on here. And if Ruiz, LA Rams, if you don't know about Trent, go check him out at Rams Talk. Great content creator when it comes to Rams football. I mean, he tries to persuade that they're going to get a W in his video, but I don't think even really he believes it, to be honest. With all that being said, shout out to Trent for coming on. Until next time, you guys know what time it is.
Rams time.